I will talk randomly for a few minutes. I know that we are living apocalyptic times. Apocalypse means revelation. And there is a revelation because 4 years ago, in August 2018, I knew myself to be the whole of reality. And I will try to be honest as I envision this. We are the 20th of September. On a conscious empirical level, conscious empirical, I tend to forget. And so there are two tendencies in me. When I am all alone in my room and that I read for a long time, I experience kind of ontological despair in a way. Not necessarily despair, but there can be joy, and when I listen to music, or when I understand some ideas, or when I read Nietzsche sometimes. But the moments when I really experience, and I don't want to play the victim card or whatever, just explain how I function. Since 2009, for 13 years, I have lived almost completely isolated, with the exception of 2.5 years, one might say. 2019 partly when I was in hospital, and then for 2 years I was in real life studying officially and getting training to get a job, but I was still very how do you call this, introvert, and yeah. So I speak empirically. I suffer from many problems, but one of which is that I just would like to be left alone and read good books and just get a job. That's what I wanted to do up until February. I just would like to be a normal person living in a normal society. I wanted just to have a job, pay taxes, be productive, just to have a sense of self-worth. But I didn't want to be so social. I just wanted to get a job for the official part, and then what I enjoyed, I talked about this in a video that I posted on another channel. That's the purpose of this video. From now on, I will post my videos on another channel because I will talk about more controversial topics. So this may be, at least consciously, this may be maybe my last video on this channel, but I will talk about this later. But I will put the links if you want to follow me. But what I want to say is that basically what I enjoyed doing was having a sense of self-worth and being left alone to read good books. In this sense, I am like Zizek. What would you like to do in life? I just would like to be peacefully left alone and read good books. That's my intellectual self. But the problem is that since I know myself to be the whole of reality, I cannot be at peace and read good books because there are problems all over the world that I feel more or less guilty. Honestly, I know it's true. On an empirical level, the problems in Africa, South America, I don't really care on an empirical level, but of course, when the problems come in America and Europe, I care more. The reason why I restarted this channel in February was Russia invading Ukraine. So what I would like to do is to bring peace to the whole world. I knew I had to do this 4 years ago when I had my God experience, but I'm in a process of, I understood a long time ago that I would no longer be there. So I'm kind of frustrated in the sense that I don't really know what or where or how I will be. Basically, I understand that that's what I think. I have to die, but I envision that after death I might still be vaguely present somehow. I have not read Hegel because that's part of my virtuous punishment. Maybe I tried to be honest when I understood that the writings of Hegel, and I had understood everything for both a moral point of view and also because I would say I would like to be surprised. No, sometimes I would prefer not to. But basically, I stopped reading Hegel's like the science of logic, the greater logic, and the phenomenology, except the introduction a long time ago because I think it's cheating. So I try to be moral, but now the problem is that I don't know what will happen. But I will not read. No, we'll see. So I read Hegel some sort of for duty, but also I kind of enjoy understanding. So this was my contradiction. But basically, I understand that I have to die at some moment. We all do, but the problem of death for me is not, of course it's a problem for everyone from his perspective, but the problem is that I know myself somehow at some level to be God, and the idea of dying soon, or I don't know, in the coming times, without ever having been able to talk to someone who understands me, I feel frustrated. Here I speak on an empirical level. I feel frustrated. To peacefully talk with someone else who might understand me, and someone else, he or she, has to have the same cultural references. That's why ideally I just would like to talk peacefully with Apollonian germ, but in order to bring these conditions, if they are possible, and of course I would like to talk peacefully with the people who think like me, basically. That's one of my problems. But then I talk again empirically. I experienced traumatic. Oh, I am traumatized. That's why I suffer. No, I'm not gonna play this bullshit nonsense. But actually, I have experienced intellectual traumas. I will not tell the story because I don't want to play the victim card. But actually, I don't want to, but I nonetheless suffer. And basically, I will simplify. Try to mix metaphysics with common sense or ordinary intelligibility. I understood 4 years ago that in order to experience love and then beauty and joy and eventually all the good things in life, there has to be separation. That's how I envision this, and I know it to be true in a way. And this separation, which is the one which negates itself, it causes suffering. That I can understand, but it also causes evil. So in a way, evil is, on a metaphysical level, it's God inflicting evil upon himself. So in a way, me against myself. So I make me suffer by making others suffer. So there's the selfish part of me who says my empirical well-being is more important than others, but then there's the moral aspect who says I suffer when I see others suffer, and they are kind of in conflict. So I have this selfish tendency, which is the definition of evil by the writings of Hegel. And when I'm really suffering, I turn towards what is dearest to me as an empirical individual, and this is my love story, my teenage romance, because this is the only moment in my life where I could be with someone and talk with someone and enjoy this. I have enjoyed other conversations and being with others partly, but basically being with friends or with members of one's family, it's good, and those who do not have no friends or no family or broken family, they suffer at that, so I won't complain. But actually, here I speak maybe as a teenager. What a male teenager wants is to find another girl that he loves. It's really that simple, but then it brings complexity. So that's that's what I cling to when I really suffer, because on an empirical, here I'm not in the mood to make jokes about the Anglo-Saxon, on an empirical level, this is my only experience of what I call genuine love, namely, I am very cynical because here's my evil self, which is not moral evil, but it's evil nonetheless, because I know that basically friends, they like you because it's sociologically programmed. The biological family, they like you because of Darwinism, although I'm not a Darwinist from an epistemological standpoint, but basically this is, yeah, I'm talking to God, the real God. This is my problem, is that I have never suffered from a lack of love from anyone, but how should I explain this? I have started as being very cynical, and then I realized that I was the root of all evil, but basically, one of the many problems that I suffer from is that I have identified with the divine. Because let us just say the divine, because maybe the real God is just I don't know, just a spirit or whatever, but the divine at various moments. And I don't know if I lost my memory and I have recovered, or if I am I don't know, but I suffer from being human, because the physical, emotional, I've already said this, the physical, emotional, intellectual limitations. So in a way, I don't like being human, knowing that I could be, I don't know what I could be, but just a spirit or whatever, a principle or whatever, a soul or whatever, a mind. So I suffer from being human. That's why I'm spontaneously very negative, because I don't like the human condition. Here it's my Nietzschean, Evolian self, but am I strong enough to uphold the standards for myself? I don't know, but there's a part of me who says I don't like the human condition because it's limited, and here's my right-wing self. Like I would like humans to be strong and beautiful and to improve humans. Here is really my right-wing self, but then I have suffered from failing to maintain the standard, so that's my own weakness, so whatever, so there's this aspect. But then I also suffer from not being able to be human for the good part. Of course, I just would like the good parts, etc. But basically, this year it's kind of embarrassing, because the two aspects, like the super transcendental self and the human self, they are in conflict with one another metaphysically. Because if I say I just would like to be a normal human, a few months ago, before I restarted this channel, to have a job, to be a productive member of society, and just to have a sense of self-worth. That's why, here I'm honest, I have been angry against humans, because the people who have stupid jobs, here I'm not, there are the bullshit jobs who are really useless, and then there are the stupid jobs who are useful, but not very exciting, but they have to be preserved, at least for a while. And I will now pick up my books. The reason why there's alcohol, I don't drink alcohol. I will just illustrate in my next videos. But I have drunk alcohol, and it's okay. It's a sin, but whatever. It's a sin, but if you just drink alcohol, whatever. Yeah, I will just show the books because I said I would do this. Maybe I forgot, but basically, yeah. I just wanted to be an ordinary human, but then this is why I have problems, because when I speak and think without overthinking, if I say I just would like to be a normal person, to have a job and to have a family and friends, I mean, also with my sense of privacy, etc. And then people, I can anticipate, they hear this, but we too, we are just like you. But the problem is that I have a total view, and I know that this life, first, it's not always great because it's kind of boring, but yeah, but also there are the other aspects, namely there are many people on this planet who cannot have this kind of life because their country is kind of ruined, or because they have been abused, or because there are crimes, etc. So yeah, that's my philosophical self, which sees the totality. So then I said to myself, whatever. I have many contradictions. I feel guilty for being a privileged Westerner, but also I have pride in my heritage, what I call my heritage, because I have a culture. Whatever, I suffer from so many contradictions, and we have the same in every Western country. Here it's the factory of the idiot, teaching ignorance. I'm sure they are the same in Germany, in England. Probably in Italy to a certain extent, in Sweden, it's the same everywhere. So basically, I will simplify. I will not make the video talk, but one of the things that I would like sometimes to be able to speak on a conscious level without having, if I say something, the dialectics will contradict me. I don't see the full picture. So I just would like to be a normal person, and I know that when people listen to me talk like a normal person, they can relate, and they kind of enjoy this. And here it's my cynical self. I'm not in a mood to laugh. I don't like when people like me for being normal. I would like to be appreciated for being more than just normal in the good sense. Here I will be honest, and I know that I hate being honest in a good sense, because when I say honest things to people, I've discovered this on an empirical level. When I am honest, the people at first they are kind of a little bit reluctant, and then they say, "You are right." So in a way, I know that a way of solving problems is just to say the truth to everyone, and people will say, "But that's what we wanted to hear." I will speak about my empirical life. And here there are worse kind of suffering, but it kind of make me suffer because I would like to be this super intelligent German metaphysician, and now I've realized that I have just to be a normal person, and I feel this. It hurts my pride. No, but I suffer from this because I would like to. When I understood that I was kind of special, I would like to imitate the standards of what I call my intellectual family at the highest level. There are the Hyperboreans, but then at the highest level there are the German metaphysicians, Hegel, Nietzsche, Heidegger, Leibniz. I somehow at some moment I imagine them as being some sort of my family, really in the realm of the pure intellect. Maybe I'm deluding myself. So in a way I'm trying to to impress them, and because I can imagine that at some moment I really will become very smart, and I would be in a position, maybe somewhere, not physically, I don't know, but to be to talk or not talk, I don't know, with Leibniz and Kant and Hegel, and of course I would like to talk to them and say, what do you think about me? Am I really the embarrassing child of the German metaphysical family, which partly I am, but here it's well, what was I saying? Yeah, empirical. So I will say 3 examples of recent weeks on an empirical level. I will not repeat the story that I haven't had the opportunity to talk empirically for many years. So again, here it's kind of frustrating because I have been studying, really here I'm serious, the best of the Western, European, German philosophical tradition. Really, rigor, sometimes I keep repeating, it's not rigorous, but really, when you, here I'm serious, when you read, when you read the standards of the German metaphysician, and even, here I'm honest, the Anglo-Saxon thinkers, and actually all great thinkers, but the German and the Anglo-Saxon, and here I'm not in a mood to make jokes, read the standards in terms of intellect, rigor, systematicity, order, clarity. It's clear if one puts the time, the investment. Here I'm not in a mood to make jokes about Kant. Kant, you have to respect the intelligence. Russell, Whitehead, you have to respect. Hegel, Leibniz, so it's kind of a little bit more confused, but I'm not going to comment, but you have to respect this. But then, this kind of saying this, I realize is someone who asks himself question about, I mean, it's so far removed from the ordinary consciousness of people. Like, there are maybe a few hundreds of people on this planet, the scholars, or a few thousands, I don't know, the scholars in universities in the West or outside of the West, but who care about this kind of debate, like Hegel versus Kant in terms of rigor, etc. Here it's my Zizekian self, in a sense that Zizek is kind of a mixture of, you also have this really high standards intellectually while being down to earth in a good sense. I have not understood many of my contradictions, but basically one way that I could formulate this, it's not clear, but basically I have become, in my intellectual path, really a radical right-wingers, but just if I could try to balance, maybe I'm being dishonest, but maybe it's partly true, I don't know. Basically, I have gone to the right wing in my intellectual development, and there are aspects that I enjoy about the right wing, but basically it's just maybe just to balance, so that someone like Zizek, who is a leftist, but a leftist who is partly a conservative and with a European pride in the good sense, like Zizek, he knows about European culture and he cares about non-whites, but he knows that he's European, so he's just basically, there's a part of me. Here's the good aspect that maybe it's not possible, but I would like to live in a society where there would be a common ground of agreement between whites. There could be political divide, but we would all agree that we are white. It brings a responsibility and a sense of duty, etc. But someone like Zizek, and in a way, it's really complicated. A society of people where the debates would be between Peterson and Zizek, and the right wing would be Peterson. I mean, there could be where people would not need to be far right extremist or completely insane white leftists, where there would be balance, and the left and the right would be debate between Zizek and Peterson, not between the insane white leftist with blue hair and who want to replace themselves, and I have to admit, the partly insane far-right people who want to but the problem is that by studying the radical views, one understands more clearly. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, my empirical examples. I have read Nietzsche, not a lot. Here's, if I had to have a good opinion of me, is that I really haven't read a lot of Nietzsche. In quantitatively, in terms of intensity, I have not studied Nietzsche. The idea that Nietzsche has to be studied is completely ludicrous. Here I'm in a Nietzschean mood. Nietzsche would find this embarrassing. All these scholars who spend their entire career trying to comment Nietzsche would laugh at them. Hegel, he has to be studied and commented, but Nietzsche would find them... Nietzsche wants to be overcome, basically. Well, yeah, there's a lot to say, but basically Nietzsche is the kind of writer, okay, I pick up a few passages here and there, and I get the idea, basically. So I have never read Nietzsche, but I understand, and I'm never surprised, while always being surprised when I read Nietzsche. It's very Hegelian, because, yeah, but more seriously. I took the Nietzschean antidote at an early age. First, it was against Christianity, how I envision Christianity. And then it was against stupid leftism, but also stupid right-wingism, and also against psychological self-delusion, psychoanalytical problems. Basically, I took the vaccine, the Nietzschean vaccine, and I will illustrate with an example. I try in my empirical life, which lasts a few hours a day maximum, to do good, just to have a little bit of sense of self-worth by giving to charities, etc. And I don't like being thanked by people who say, oh, thank you, because here I will be good and evil at the same time, because this is stupid. The people who believe, those who give money to charity, oh, they are good, etc. They are idiots. Basically, altruism is motivated by selfishness. But it's a good thing to transcend selfishness through altruism. It's good. Here it's aristocratic altruism, and Nietzsche would agree. But those who believe, here's why I am spontaneously evil, because in the epistemological sense, because I break, if I speak normally, I break people's delusion. But those who admire the superstars who give to charity, that's just complete nonsense. They do this because it increases their collective image, and they can make then they can sell more CDs or more whatever. So it's hypocritical in a sense. So I am frustrated by the people, but then I have my father archetype, one could say. I'm starting to grow the father archetype in me, although I experience myself as being the child, so it's kind of yeah, but the father archetype, he wants to preserve the delusion for the idiots, the young, the women. So yeah, basically I just would like to help others, and of course I would like them to appreciate what I do, but not because, oh, you are so wonderful. No, because I do this for myself, to try to have a sense of self-worth. Yeah, that's the first example. The second, so yeah, I was partly frustrated by the naivete, if I'm polite, and depending on who, if it's a woman, I will be a little bit evil. If it's a woman or a teenager, I call this naivete. If it's a man, a grown man, this is stupidity. Yeah. Then, another example. Attractive young women who get jobs as a saleswomen, those who work in airplanes, steward and I don't know how you call this. The jobs where being a woman implies that you have kind of to be attractive. Those who make sales, who are in direct connection with the clients, etc. I'm not in the mood to make a dubious joke, but those who in shops, etc. I just said to an empirical person, it's kind of unfair from the perspective of women, because attractive women, they have a greater likelihood of being hired, because those who hire them, they know that if the women in a pub or a shop are attractive, or a restaurant, the clients will be more likely to give tips and to let their head be a little bit. So everyone knows this, that basically attractive women, or on television, attractive women, they have a much greater likelihood of being hired and promoted. And they know this, everyone knows this, but no one says so. That's the great deception. But that's the truth. And then I felt bad, because if you are a woman and if you are not attractive, it's problematic. And then there's this political correct nonsense to say, oh, we are all beautiful inside. Maybe it's true, but basically how things work is that if you are beautiful and attractive, you will get better jobs. And then there's the misogynistic tendency who says that all women in high position, they are the W word. Yeah, I can anticipate. No, but seriously, the hypocrisy at some moment, just to be able to say this. Then there are other forms of hypocrisy about race, etc. But the third example, so yeah, the first example is just giving away money and people thank you, but they don't understand that it's just self-interest. So that's kind of frustrating. The second is that when I spoke to a person, she said, yeah, we all know this. Oh, so it was good to say, yeah. And the third is a beggar. Let us take the example of a beggar. I will be honest, my right-wing self, a society where there are beggars, it's a problem. Either the beggars are the problem, or the society. And I know that I'm intelligent enough to know that the beggars are not the problem. It's the society which tolerates beggars which is the problem. But then, it's the radical right-wing view. I try to balance honestly, and that's what I said to a homeless person. And basically, what if the right thing to do on a not without delving into too much Hegelian complexity, basically is, that's what I do. That's what people should do, or should have done, or I don't know. But whenever someone who is relatively well off sees a beggar, the deal should be, I give you money if you work, find something to do, something productive, just even for a couple of hours. I give you money if you pick yourself out of your position. That's the compromise. The left-wing insanity would be more money for the welfare state, which will bring more disruption and more beggars and more dependence. That's just the common sense libertarian view. And the right-wing, the radical right-wing view would be no more beggars, one way or another, but precisely to find the balance between the leftist insanity and the right-wing excesses is in the middle, is, okay, we help you to help yourself, but at some moment you have to work, we will help you, because here it's my good Christian self, the poor, they have to be helped. But here's my good Christian self mixed with Anglo-Saxon common sense. That's why the Americans, there's a lot to say about the Americans, but they are just a common sense people. When they are true to their concept, namely Charles Murray, Ron Paul, I'm sorry, but this is common sense. This is, and here I have many contradictions, because there is really the German excessive right-wing politics, and there is the common sense right-wing politics, but actually it's not right-wing. It's just to say that JFK give them a hand, not a handout. It's just common sense. And leftism, from a white perspective, has degenerated into excesses with the welfare state, the bureaucracy, the giving tons of money, tolerating all sorts of degenerate behaviors at many levels. And the excess brings another excess on the right to try to restore the balance. And I know that it is wrong, and that the right thing to do from a moral standpoint would be to stand relatively in the middle with common sense libertarians. That's one of the contradictions that I've been trying to solve, because I know that I have a little bit of a crazy right-wing German living in my mind, and I try to balance by finding the compromise, which is libertarianism. Here I will be as serious as it can get. Libertarianism is a way for white people to balance their tendency towards will to power that all people have, but that's transcending will to power. I could pick up many other books to transcending the will to power in a productive way which benefits everyone. That's one of the contradictions that white people try to solve. That's why I promote these books, because maybe if I turn a little bit insane, people maybe will find sanity in these books. I don't know, but if I had to be honest, that's just common sense. Basically, a common sense European society would be libertarian in the good sense. Not there are also excesses in the libertarian movement, but libertarian like America was. Like here I have conflicts because there is the kind of Germanic aspect, European a little bit excessive, but the American society, from the good libertarian aspect, namely where people were independent and free and they could help themselves, they were competent. The rich, they helped the poor, but they were not. This was not mandatory. It was evergetism, as they call this. They were morally compelled, but not legally compelled. It's a very important difference, because when people do good to others because they are morally compelled, it's that a sign that the society is functioning. But when the anti-racism, the excesses of anti-racism, it's also moral compulsion, but it is the degenerate moral compulsion. Yeah, but I have contradictions in me that I'm trying to solve, and this is one of the contradictions. Yeah, what was I saying? So yeah, and here I will be honest again that I am trying in a way to impress the German metaphysician, and I have really discovered that actually what I call empiricism in a derogatory sense, it's really common sense, and sometimes it's really important. And in a sense, I am really arrogant without putting on an act, because I have my metaphysical German self, and haha, let's laugh about this idiot who thought that he was smart, but we, the common sense people, we have a lot more sense, which is true in a way. And I suffer from this. And then other problems, I discover that actually I have psychological problems. Well, psychoanalytical problems as well, and psychiatric problems. Here it's easier to confess because it's kind of maybe it's not really it's my responsibility, but it's kind of a problem. But psychology and psychoanalysis, basically I discovered that it's embarrassing to say, that's connected to what I said, but basically I'm a male, and of course I would like to impress women, attractive women that I'm spontaneously attracted to. So I have this contradiction in me. In this sense, it hurts me to say so, but I'm just an ordinary guy who has to find a sense of self-worth in pleasing women. But here I will be honest. God forces me to be honest. It's really embarrassing, but there are more embarrassing things. But one of the problems that I suffer from is that actually I don't really like sex. I don't really like sex. But when I was a teenager with my teenage sweetheart, I had this idea that it's some sort of the duty of a man, the moral responsibility, to please his girlfriend or his woman sexually. So for me, but because I think I was not really a great lover, but I thought that I had to be, or try to be, just to please the girl that I loved when I was 15 and 16. But then when I grew older, here is one of the contradictions. I think that sex is kind of degrading, but I cannot deny that I have a libido, as they call this. But basically there's an aspect of me, here I speak as a male maybe, who just would like to please attractive women. It makes me suffer to say so, but basically it's really embarrassing. Here I will be honest. There is an aspect, it's really embarrassing. There is an aspect of the female psyche which I enjoy, because it's really embarrassing. Because women, no matter how good you perform, they will never be satisfied. And this ontological insatisfaction of woman, it's kind of exciting for a man. I already had this twisted tendency when I was 15 with my teenage sweetheart. Namely, there's a part of me that I enjoy when an attractive woman says that's not good enough, with a kind of a tongue-in-cheek, like, okay, you please me, but I want more. Here it's really my twisted seriously, this is one of the problems. Like, when I understood this, basically I have sexual problems. So maybe some people will be able to laugh at me, but no, but seriously, this is one of the problems that I have. Namely, I find this degrading, because here it's my metaphysical self. Basically, I'm just a male in what I call the good sense. Namely, I would like to just to be masculine by being a scientist, a physicist, a mathematician, a philosopher. And this aspect exists in me, in the sense that consciously, what I have wanted to do all these years before the moral duty of trying to solve all the world's problems, is what I enjoy is just reading good books about mathematics. I don't do this, but mathematics, logic, I enjoy reading good books about logic because of the clarity, the order, the structure. I just enjoy this. The books about sciences, just for the sake of, here I speak empirically, because the price of knowledge. But on an empirical level, I am just a scientist in a way. I enjoy reading good books when it's well ordered, structured. It's satisfying for the intellect. And in this sense, I could find enjoyment by reading Kant or even the Anglo-Saxons, etc. But then there is the libido aspect, yeah. So if I spoke empirically, that would not be a problem to say, well, a 30 years old man, I am turned on by attractive women, but my vision of an attractive woman, here it's really one of the mysteries that I don't fully understand, is that, of course, I am attracted by physically attractive women, but there is really an important aspect, maybe a very important, who is attracted by intellectually interesting women. I am really attracted. I call this attraction. I don't know if it's love, but it's attraction. Namely, a woman who is intelligent, funny, smart, with a strong character. It partly turns me on, and I experience this as some sort of a degrading aspect of me, because I would like just to have the tender love of my teenage romance. But if I had to, I am attracted by some sort of an intellectual libido. It's not very clear, but by just intelligent, funny women. They turn me on. Basically, that's the... Yeah. And saying this, as a human, that's not a problem. But as more than human, I find this kind of embarrassing. Like, I did not expect the divine to be I don't know. It's kind of weird, but yeah. So I partly suffer from this. But yeah, so I will just conclude. Yeah, my next videos. Now I have to kind of to improvise, not to let go completely randomly, but just to I do not rewatch my video. I post the video without editing, except really when I have to for reasons of order or etc. But I will more and more just record and then publish, but not on this channel. I will more and more improvise, because I have to make sacrifices, but my intellectual life is... I started this channel in 2019, and then 22 by just... I thought I just had to say, okay, the negative is me, and everyone would understand. So I really, on a conscious level, I deluded myself, or I don't know, but really I here is another contradiction, that like when I try to communicate really with really intelligent people who have the spiritual, intellectual and or philosophical background to understand what I'm trying to share, although I try to lower down to make intelligible, either I am accused of being arrogant, or totalitarian, and well, that's part of the process, I guess, but here I will be honest. When I had my God experience 4 years ago, I understood abstractly that all the the sickness and the degeneracy and all the problems, all the crimes of the world, they were in a way my reflection. That's very problematic, and I understood that I have to basically take the blame for all the crimes. And on a moral standpoint, I understand, because here I speak common sense, the knowledge of good and evil, whatever. Well, I know what is evil and what is good. So yeah, I might have moral and physical problem accepting the blame, not moral in a sense of moral suffering, but on a transcendental level, I understand why people would blame me for all the crimes, the abuse, all the things that people call evil. On a transcendental level, I understand. But what I have discovered over the past few weeks is that, and here it's a mystery again, but that people, they kind of, when I talk to them in very, and I will talk to others more and more until I no longer can, but they kind of reproach me my what I call my categories. And this I experience as I am hurt in a sense that if someone says, "Oh, you are responsible for all the alcoholics," well, there are worse things. I could say, okay, I consider this to be a sin, and okay, maybe I'm being dishonest if I say, but actually I agree with you. That's a problem, and with most of our problems, the abuses, the crimes, the starvation, the violence, etc. Okay. If I say otherwise, I mean, yeah, but I can agree that it's wrong. Then the right and wrong, but I can agree. But being accused of just trying to order my thoughts and to talk about my categories, it kind of, in a way, it hurts me, because I did not expect to, I don't know, basically people, there are many reasons to be angry or pissed off in the world, but to be kind of negative against me when I talk to people just because I try to bring order and systematicity and accusing me of being arrogant, I have to accept eventually, but it's kind of, well, but at some level, maybe the categories, they reflect whatever, but whatever. I will not play the victim card, but I'm being honest, like, this is the kind of negativity that I receive back, and I have to take the negativity that I did not expect. Like, because here I will be kind of negative, but just trying to talk with a minimum of rigor, logical, intellectual rigor, is perceived by intelligent people in terms either of IQ and or education or both as some sort of an offense, like yeah, so that's weird. Here I have chosen to be honest on an empirical level. I will choose this more and more, and if I don't, and also I will just talk about one contradiction, that when I talk to people and when I understand, I say something, they listen, they reply, and they try to contradict me, but actually I understand that what they say is what I said, but with their own words, so they think that they disagree, but actually they just confirm what I said. When it happens, and it has happened to me a few times with members of my biological family, I try to stay calm, but actually I understand. I understand the dialectics in a way. And here I become kind of negative because I try to take this on myself, but basically I understand. I keep talking about Martin Luther, determinism, etc. When I see almost clearly the determinism in the other when they talk, namely when I see that the others are a program at some level, it makes me negative because I just see categories in a way. I mean, not yet to this level, but I see basically that the other is not an other, it's just dialectics. In a way, that's how I express normally. And when this happens, I just want to be left alone, and then Eminem comes into play, Venom, etc., etc. That's one of the things that I suffer from. Is that I just would like to be able to have a peaceful conversation with others or another who understands me, and be able to talk without being driven by some sort of a dialectical process gone crazy or whatever. Yeah, I don't know if it's possible, but here is one of my other contradictions, is that I have found joy over the past few months in just the most basic, ordinary conveniences of life, namely just to go out and to have a conversation with someone, random person, for 10 minutes. I have found joy in this very simple aspect of existence, namely to have really a simple life on a material level. I mean, it's still prosperous, etc., but it's simple. And just talking with people, I found my joy in this, which explains why I might be or have been negative against others, because all others eventually, that's my negative self, namely people do not realize the value of just being able to have a peaceful conversation with an other. And then I blame this on other, they can blame on me, but here I'm not in the mood to make a dialectical shenanigans. Basically just to appreciate existence, sometimes just to appreciate the fact that to be able to talk with another peacefully, it's valuable. And also I suffer from the fact that I know myself to be the negative, so that whatever I do, I am negative in a way. And I want to do good, but yeah, it's... And also, the truth, my truth epistemologically, reason, namely that I am the whole of reality. I tend to forget on an empirical level, but I know it to be true philosophically. It's so unbelievable in a way that that's why I am, this is one of my moral contradictions. I make videos in English because I know that if I'm wrong, well, but I think that, I believe that I can only convince an English-speaking audience simply because they have the preparatory training, the preliminary background in terms of knowledge, that what I can explain, I still can't, but what would take me maybe a few relative amount of time for an Anglo-Saxon would take me twice or 3 times the amount for other persons. and even more time for non-Western persons, because I would have to go through all the steps to explain all the aspects, whereas in the English-speaking world, it goes freely, in a way, spontaneously, because there is freedom of speech, basically. That's why, as long as I can, or maybe I will speak in English, and when I no longer can, I will speak my native language, not on the internet, but directly. I don't know what will happen, but basically, there are, here, I don't understand how, but there are people who have been selected through the phenomenological process or alchemical process, what is called the red pill, and I try to communicate with these people, and in a way I'm attracted to them because they have had the same path, and I do not have, if they can get my message, I would not have to explain every layer, because this has been their intellectual life. Whereas if I take a random person, if given enough time, I don't know, 4 weeks or 2 months, I could explain to them the whole process, but why would I would have to pay them, etc. So that's why I focused mostly on the people that I still think can not the only ones who can understand me, but the only ones who can understand me given the current circumstances. And this is Apollonian germ mostly, and eventually Stella and yeah, Hyperborean and Caroline, because they are like me intellectually and spiritually. If they heard my story, they would understand me like I understand them, and they would be attracted, but also probably well, but here I'm in a mood to be amazed and to marvel at the process. I mean that there are a few people living in a distant country who are just like me. I mean, not completely, because identity and different, but who are just like me. And in this sense, here I'm in a mood to say that's amazing. What we are at this level, it's really amazing in a sense that philosophy begins in wonder, as Aristotle said, and here it's really a philosophical partnership. That's why I have the hope or the belief that maybe we will be able to be peacefully, joyfully united, while being able to be, I don't, here I don't know, I have not read Hegel at this point, I don't know, but yeah. And yeah, basically here is, I go back to the Nietzschean, Zizekian wisdom, basically to say, oh, just hear my story. That's just nonsense. But actually it's partly true. Now I've understood. I thought that I would have nothing interesting to say, but actually now if people could hear my story, they would find it interesting, but now I'm in a position where it's difficult. I had no story to share. I have spent many months, many years trying to share my story. I have failed, and now all these accumulated failures make that my story has become actually interesting. But now how am I supposed to communicate? I will improvise. I have said a lot, but just I would say that reason, God, in a way, the process of God. How can a world so complex emerge? How and why? I understand the division. Why has there to be evil? The substance and the negative of the substance. Basically, here I will say what I think. I am becoming partly insane for many reasons. If you have watched 1 hour of our video at this point, you will say, okay, this guy is partly insane, or maybe completely insane. But basically, the idea that I don't, here, I still don't know what will people eventually, probably it will be gradual, I don't know, but what will people understand or think when they understand what we are, that there is a negative and a substance. Here I will not read Hegel, I will improvise, and that's one of the reasons why I become insane, because I don't know who I am talking to. Eventually I'm talking to the substance, but in my most lonely moments I think the only other is Stella. Then I think, okay, it's Stella for the feminine side and Apollonian job for the masculine side. Then I think about specific people, and then I think of myself as talking to potentially everyone. I will not. I've decided to cease to try to anticipate, because when I do here, one of my other contradictions, I have been trying to make plans, good plans on a conscious level. I thought I will scheme for good, and partly I still do, but I get defeated every time. So that's how I kind of lose. I lose hope and confidence, because I would like to say to God, but if you do not let me be a schemer for good, what am I good at? And here, if my good plans they turn against me eventually, I can understand that. But basically, the idea of here I'm being honest on an empirical level. That's one of my traumas. Trying to consciously plan to do good with my limited capability, if it backfires, and eventually sometimes it does, and it turns into evil for me or for others, here I'm kind of desperate, in the sense that so the entity who is in control of the process, if it's planned, the intelligence, if it's not planned, already the intelligence is there are no words, but if it's planned, here is I will end up on a positive note, but I would like people to know God, the real God, and if the real God, here I'm in a mood to eventually the real God, in order to come into being, he has to get rid of my empirical self. That's what I've understood. The real God is worth knowing, because it's simply amazing on an intellectual level. And yeah. I will just say what I think as of now. We are the 20th of September, it's 10 a.m. Consciously, people will judge me eventually, but I want to do good, just to feel good about myself. But also, I've realized that by just being cynical, not over, if I'm just being just me on an intellectual level, not even on a moral level, I am negative and kind of evil, just because I speak the truth in a way. Like the educational system here, I will just take a moderate example. If I just say what I think, the educational system is designed mostly to turn people into idiots. That's the truth. And I know that when people hear this, some will agree, but some others, they will be hurt because they invest time or whatever. Parents will be hurt, but the teachers will be hurt, etc. Those who are good-hearted in this sense, it's very easy to be evil just saying the truth, but in a way it makes me kind of suffer. But this is the path that I've gone through. Namely, I really encountered negativity, my own negativity that I did not recognize, by just going on an intellectual path, by just being cynical, but actually it was just being rational. And I try to do good because I want to feel good about myself. I imagine what God, the real God, would think of me, of course. Hegel, here I'm in a mood to make kind of a joke, but what would the Hegel that I still envision, what would he think of me? Because at some level, maybe he's not the real, but the writings of Hegel, I will imagine Hegel, the boring German metaphysician of the 19th century, he knows everything about me in a way. That's why I would like to have a conversation with him. So yeah, there's what I want to feel good about myself. The God, the Father, of course, I would like, Hegel, the Father. Then, the women that I am attracted to, or that I have loved, of course, here's my mask. I would like them to have a good opinion of me, and if they don't, I suffer. And if my father has a bad opinion of me, I suffer. And if I can imagine myself as being the father of humans, of course, if my children have a bad opinion of me, I suffer as well. But here I'm just the negative. The unity is kind of really problematic. I mean, maybe it's the solution, but also it's problematic. Maybe that the idea that the Son and the Father, here it's a Hegelian philosophy mixed with Christian theology made intelligible. But basically that at some moments, at various moments, the Father and the Son are one. That there is only one woman at some metaphysical level. What am I supposed to... Yeah. And yeah, it's problematic. But these are my problems. But yeah, I've said what I wanted to say. Maybe I forgot, but basically, all the problems of the fact that I'm attracted as a male, the problem of reason, the problem of empiricism versus metaphysics, the problem of speaking the truth, the problem of scheming to intend to do good, but it sometimes backfires. I've summarized all the problems on an empirical level. Now I will take a short pause, and then I will start making video in English on the channel Eternal Light. And one of the other problems is that, am I allowed to give pieces of advice to others? Because if I am good, I should, but if I am evil, I shouldn't. And if, here's the, here I'm in a mood to laugh, but if I think, okay, I'm in a good moment, I will give pieces of advice to people, but then what if it backfires? I would rather say nothing, but if I don't give any piece of advice, people will say, but the reason why we are misbehaving is because you forgot to give us teachings. And here, let's bring the Bible, whatever they say. No, precisely. But, who am I to question the Bible? No, but seriously, this is why eventually maybe I might be important or interesting. Important, yeah, but interesting because it's just so... Look, my conscious plan, I try to spread what I think is good. Then people either they will work with me for the good or struggle against me to implement their vision of the good against my vision of the good, or their vision of the good against I don't know, but I would just try to be the link in my videos, and eventually I will have to face my contradictions, but I will end really on a positive note. I cannot find any kind of happiness or joy or satisfaction if it's not reciprocated, and if I cannot think of myself as being the cause of joy in the other. And here, at some level, really the highest metaphysical self-subsistence, whatever, Evola and partly the Quran at some level, yeah, but on other levels, when others reject me, and I sometimes deserve to be rejected, but it hurts me, and when they accept me for what I think are qualities that I have showed, I enjoy it. It basically, here's connected to what I said earlier, basically it's just a basic human psychology. But why am I human, all too human? I did not expect that, but yeah, so I know consciously what I will do. I have many contradictions to solve, but I will speak as honestly as I can. I am being morally tormented by myself, and the torment of others is in some sort of way a torment that I inflict upon myself because it makes me suffer to see others suffer. Why do I do this? Because there is negativity within the process, but how can negativity become so complex? How can a logical process produce, I mean, maybe it's not just logical, but there is logic inherent in reality. How can it produce so much complexity and variety and wealth in a sense of here basically God is the idea, and here I'm not in a mood to make a joke, but the idea that the whole wealth of the world, and by wealth I'm not talking about economic wealth, I'm talking about the variety of everything emerged at some level out of nothing, and it's kind of rationally structured, it moves at such a high speed. In a sense, God, I do not identify as this God because it's way too yeah, but in this sense, God really is amazing. It's worthy of being amazed. It brings wonder. But here I will speak honestly. Does the real God, do I come from above, from the real God, and I lost my memories willingly, or is it kind of a random process? It doesn't seem to, but was it, how did it happen? I don't know, but basically I can envision that I kind of lost my memory, or that maybe I don't, maybe I am recreating, or I don't know, but I'm not in the full possession of my mind and my faculties. I know this. Yeah, it's really a... I will conclude by saying what I wanted to say at the beginning of the video. I have made more than 400 videos over the years, and especially the past few months. And I make more videos than I gain subscribers, and for each video, some of my videos, they really are like this one, they are just randomly done, but some of my videos are the result of countless hours of work, and I will not play the victim card because I know that there are people on this planet who work for years, and the bankers steal their house, or a flood, or they die of cancer or whatever, so that's unfair for them. But yeah, I experienced, having worked a lot, having invested a lot. It could be more. I haven't invested 10 years or 20 years, but many months, hundreds and hundreds of hours, and I have failed. So this will be probably, or maybe it won't, but maybe my last video on this channel. What I can say is you can watch back all my videos. I will not consciously, as an empirical individual, remove them. I have said contradictory things. I have made errors. I've tried to be honest. So yeah. So this is one of the frustrations that I encounter, namely that I have failed to communicate, because I would have liked to provide the gradual training that in a way I benefited from. Like, my understanding of philosophy and religion and etc. came gradually. And that's why eventually the people who have gone through the same process, they have had the same gradual training as I have. That's why I understand them, and those who have had divine revelation, the Spirit of God talks to them. I don't really understand them, because I mean, I might understand them, but I don't really understand the process, because they haven't gone through the gradual stages. Yeah, so that's kind of a problem, but yeah. So I thought this is my good scheming self, in the sense that I thought that I would, I mean, that I didn't consciously, but that there would be a gradual unfolding. But actually I have understood, I don't know when, but maybe at the end of July, that eventually I would have to share the entire truth all at once, or in very condensed, very dense way, and it will be too much truth for people. They will not understand me, and that's why they will probably reject me, and I will have only myself to blame. But maybe I will be bitter, because I will say, if you had watched all the steps that I myself haven't, because I work as hard as I can, and I do not rewatch my videos, but when I did, and here it's also one of my contradictions, when I reread my writings of 3 or 4 years ago, I thought that they were worthless, and now that I reread them, I say, okay, some of my ideas, they were quite good. Some of my videos that I've rewatched, they were quite okay. So I'm starting to say, actually, me, what I call my empirical self, I'm not that bad. But now that I understand, this is the moment when soon probably I will have to negate the negative. I thought that it would be easy. I already said it would be easy intellectually and morally, not physically, but that it would be easy. But now the difficulty is that if I had to judge myself as an empirical individual, of course I have done countless errors and mistakes, etc., and I still think of myself as being an idiot, but actually I haven't done just bad, and now comes soon, in the coming days or weeks, the moment where well, I will speak with my categories. Yeah, one of the things I can say is that I try to share joy and goodness with others, but I do it kind of spontaneously, because when I laugh about speculative jokes, well, if it's planned, it's really high planning. Otherwise, I'm just happy when I can make my stupid jokes about the categories, about the Anglo-Saxons, etc. It's my way of sharing joy with others, because if I could, I would share the best with everyone, and for me the best, as I envision this as of now, is my teenage romance, but it's impossible because for many reasons. So the next best thing that I have found within being is intellectual joy, as I could call this, namely understanding, shedding light. So it's just intellectual in a way, and it's connected with what I said earlier, that there is also kind of attraction in the kind of an intellectual desire This is the difference between my teenage romance and Stella. Namely, I was, and I still am, I am attracted by the intellect, which is the intelligence, the charisma, the personality, the humor. And this I do not fully understand, but I know it's true. I have a... I use the word attracted because I try to be honest, because I do not dare call this love. Because for me, love was to be with the person that I loved, but I use the word attraction, and I know it's partly logically determined, but I cannot deny that I experience really attraction for some women, because they are intellectually, they are so great and they are so attractive. This is one of my this is, in the sense, it's really weird. I will conclude this by saying it's really weird in the sense that the intellect, it's really weird. Like it can bring really... Here I'm in a mood to laugh. But it can bring really an erotic tension. It's true in a sense that I must admit that when I hear really intelligent, smart, funny women, just hear them talk, I have attraction that I struggle against. Yeah. I struggle to confess this. I confess this, but it kind of hurts me, because for me the intellect, I have my scientific self. I just would like to read good books and to be just an ordinary scientist in a way. But there is this erotic aspect in pure intelligence, one might say. And when I encounter real intelligence, it's not just intelligence, but it's charisma, personality, talent, humor in women. There are very few women who are, but no, actually, but it attracts me. And in men, it's also attraction, but on a different type. It's just interest and admiration. That's there is intellectual love for women who are smart, funny, intelligent, etc., and intellectual admiration for men who are intelligent and coherent and structured and ordered and also kind of strong. I have these two aspects. So in this sense, here it's kind of difficult to say, but actually I kind of I admire Apollonian drum, and I love Stella. Really, on an intellectual level, it's really true. And all the others for the same reasons. But why does a pure intelligence, which is God at some moment, why or how does it become physical and human? And how can... I don't know. That's what I had to say. But basically, I understand we are living... we are living apocalyptic times, and I have many contradictions. I will speak in English without editing, but without completely improvising, because I have plans, and here really the plans are to make my video intelligible, but then people have to have the time to watch my video. That's why I promote these books, because basically I would like people to get rid of their job, their useless job, parasitical job, not all jobs. Basically to simplify, maybe that's the good which comes out of the bad, I don't know. And if, here I will be funny, if somehow at some moment people, if they really say, you have shared all your light, thank you, we will take this now, well, you know your role, now goodbye. If it somehow happens in this way, I don't know what will happen, but I will conclude on this. But more seriously, I really suffer from contradiction, and I will be honest, I would like someone at some moment, another, who says, okay, we understand, or I understand that you are the negative and that it's difficult. Because in a way, I speak, when I'm really all alone, I speak as being completely alone, which at some level I am, but actually when I speak as a we, I think as a collective, totally the substance. And I would like the substance to consciously, at some moment, I'm being honest, to consciously say, okay, I or we or whoever, I don't know how the substance will talk, but we understand that it's difficult to be the negative. Because it partly implies not fully understanding, and yeah, I will stop there. I will take my pause, and then I will work in my apartment, trying to solve as many problems as I can, and I will encounter contradictions, oppositions, negations, which in a way I welcome. But it really makes me Nietzsche, Kanye West, harder, better, etc. Whatever doesn't kill me. Well, either it makes me stranger or stronger or smarter. I don't know, but in a way, all the negativity, the good negativity that I receive, negativity here means simply inadequation. It really strengthens me because it forced me to reconsider, rethink. But yeah. So yeah, that's what I will do. We will see, but yeah, I will put the links in the description, and I will try to. The story that I tell myself is I share my light as long as I can. Light is good in the Bible, in Greek mythology, Nordic mythology, Persian, Indian mythology, and eventually light takes the form of enlightenment, which is partly intellectual enlightenment. As long as I can, I will enlighten others and myself, but others, and yeah, and I will try to endure the pain of the negative. Yeah, I do not fully understand neither God nor the process nor Hegel. I'm still partly dumb. I will try to avoid mistakes that are silly mistakes. Like, if I wanted to make a good joke, I would say the arrogant German. That's a silly mistake. I will try to avoid this, but here I will be honest. I have tried intellectually. That's how I understand myself. I have tried really to do what I think is good on a moral standpoint. This explains some of my videos, but actually, the love for what I call Germany. At some level, I know what Germany is, but yeah. So I try to share light. Yeah. But we'll see. But eventually, I will consciously. I do not intend to modify this channel as an empirical individual. I will switch to another channel. This is my intellectual legacy. There are mistakes, contradictions, lacks, insufficiencies, problems, lack of rigor. But yeah, this is what I've been doing for the past 6 months. The video of 2019, they are on all censored. The next videos, they will be on the channel Eternal Light. And eventually, maybe at some point, I will cease to be a YouTube content creator. And I will either speak directly to people or somehow, I don't know what will happen. That's part of the process to partly accept the uncertainty, to let go, not completely in a reckless manner, not as long as I can bring order. I will not become completely insane. But I knew 4 years ago that eventually what I am, whatever I am, implies difficulties, one might say. I will try to light and yeah, as long as I can, we'll see. But I have planted the seeds of light. We'll see if they blossom. We'll see, but yeah, I've said what I had to say. I will upload the video while I am moving, and then I will work. I still take my sleep as long as I can. I will sleep at night for at least 4-6 hours, because otherwise it's not healthy. So as long as I can, I will still have a relatively normal life, sleep, food, hygiene, etc. But eventually I will confront my own process. Yeah, so, but here I am honest, the end goal really is peace, and here I will say what I think on an empirical level. The more things can be enjoyed within the frame of peace, the better for others and eventually for myself. But really the end goal really is peace, namely the stability or the tranquility. But in order to reach really peace, there has to be solve all the problems eventually. But what I want, really, I really at some moment is really peace. And the more people can be at peace, the quicker, the longer, the better. The more happy I will feel, the more happy they will feel. It will probably be difficult, but I will share enlightening views as long as I can. We will see. So, yeah. I will publish my next videos on the channel Eternal Light, and maybe I will publish other videos on this channel. Maybe I won't. I have this is my intellectual legacy of the past 6 months, plus the links to the previous video, but basically 6 months broadly of March, April, May, June, July, August, more than 6 months. Yeah, this is my legacy. My intellectual legacy. Yeah. So yeah, I will stop there for now, and to be continued.